Welcome to our Sunday services at First Unitarian Church of St. Louis. Hello, my name is Pam Geppert, she, her, hers, and I am a member of your worship committee. I'm glad to see you all here this morning, and I especially want to welcome any visitors or newcomers. If you're new to our congregation, please fill out a newcomer form found at the link in the chat window. In the chat, you can also find a few other useful links, including today's order of service, our YouTube channel, where service recordings are posted, and information about our religious education program for families with children. Automated closed captioning is also available for those who would find it helpful. Click on Live Transcript at the bottom of your screen, then Show Subtitle. This morning, we're excited to have two special guests. Our worship leader this morning is the Reverend Sharon Dittmar. Reverend Dittmar graduated from Harvard Divinity School in 1997. She served 1 year as interim minister at the Gathering at Northern Hills and 18 years as minister at First Unitarian Church of Cincinnati. In 2016, she began work as congregational life field staff with the Mid-America region. We are delighted to have her in our pulpit this morning. We're also excited to introduce you to our newest staff member at First Unitarian. Please give a warm welcome to Michael Mo Hurst, who will serve as our new audio-visual technician. He will be managing our live streaming services. Be sure to ask him about his 15-year-old daughter and his cat. Now, before his career brought him here, he worked in a variety of fields from steel manufacturing to pro wrestling to veterinary medicine. As an experienced technician, he'll be working behind the scenes to make our multi-platform services possible. Welcome, Michael, who answers to the nickname Mo. So we so look forward to working with you. Now, since one of the important aspects of worship is being present in community, we invite you to continue this moment of welcome by turning and waving to each other. If you're online, just switch to gallery view and turn on your webcams to wave to each other. It's so good to be together. Well, it's very good to be gathered together again. Please turn off your webcams and we will proceed. And now, so that you might have some space to process the recent news from Reverend Kim and ask any questions, the service will be followed by an open conversation with Reverend Dittmar and board members. Welcome to this religious community where we affirm the dignity and freedom of all who enter. Here we seek to live together in relationship and respect so that we may embrace and celebrate our differences. Our religious values invite us to a shared journey of truth and meaning. Sincerity and connection guide our religious community and call us into deeper association with ourselves and our world. Welcome. We are glad you are part of our community this morning. Now, please enjoy an arrangement of the traditional Jewish Kal Nidra performed by our organist, Earl Naylor.
Earth, cure me. Earth, receive my woe. Rock, strengthen me. Rock, receive my weakness. Rain, wash my sadness away. Rain, receive my doubt. Sun, make sweet my song. Sun, receive the anger from my heart. And now I introduce our opening hymn, number 126, Come, Thou Fount of Every Blessing.
Come, thou fount of every blessing, tune our hearts to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. While the hope of life's perfection fills our hearts with joy and love, teach us ever to be faithful. May we still thy goodness prove. Come, thou fount of every vision, lift our eyes to what may come. See the lion and the young lamb dwell together in thy home. Hear the cries of orphans silent, feel our love glow like the sun. When we all serve one another, then our heaven is begun. Come, thou fount of inspiration, turn our lives to higher ways. Lift our gloom and desperation, show the promise of this day. Help us find ourselves in union, help our hands tell of our love. With thine aid, O fount of justice, earth be fair as heaven above.
We light this chalice to affirm that new light is ever waiting to break through to enlighten our ways, that new truth is ever waiting to break through to illumine our minds, and that new love is ever waiting to break through to warm our hearts. May we be open to this light and to the rich possibilities that it brings us. One of the ways that we make our community stronger is through the weekly sharing of joys and concerns. I invite us all to quiet our minds, open our hearts, and feel the Spirit moving among us. It is with sorrow that we learn that Roy Taylor died with peace, comfort, and love on September 7th at Evelyn's Hospice House. From advanced cancer and heart disease, our deep sympathy to Lori Calcaterra, his wife, and other family members. We remember Roy for his pleasant demeanor and years of greeting many of us on Sunday mornings as an usher. Memorial service plans are pending. And it is with great sadness that we learn that Reverend Barbie Click's adult son passed away in June. Many of us know Reverend Click through involvement with the Trinity Hot Lunch program and admire her dedication to the unhoused population in St. Louis. We offer our deep condolences to her on the loss of her son. I now invite you to type any sorrows or concerns you're holding into the group chat window. Remembering a father. Wishes to Lori for grace and peace. Thinking of others in their time of sorrow. Living with so much worry. Praying for security in our nation's capital. Thinking of so many who are recovering from violence and natural disasters. Concern for Haitians being sent into harm's way. Career concerns that are weighing heavy on the mind. Praying for a cousin who is continuing treatment for cancer. Mental and emotional grief from the ongoing pandemic. A family member impaired from severe COVID symptoms last year. Turmoil in Afghanistan. We hold these sorrows along with those yet unnamed with tenderness and compassion. May they be lighter because they are shared. As a community, we also share our joys with one another. This weekend, we join with Betsy and George Grimm Howell in celebrating their 28th wedding anniversary. Congratulations. I invite you to type any joys you wish to share into the group chat window. Joy in coming together last Sunday. Happy anniversary wishes. A relative who is cancer-free Gratitude for Reverend Dittmar and Mo. Good memories of a father whose 110th birthday would be today. Anniversary greetings, birth of a 4th grandchild, and the 1st granddaughter. Gratitude, gratefulness for all the caring coming from the First Church members and friends. The survey on in-person services. Joy at the prospect of seeing family for a belated wedding reception for a family member next weekend. Just being with our beloved community today. Happiness in international exchange high school students who are playful, smart, and sweet teenagers. And more congratulations for an anniversary. Thankfulness for last week's in-person outdoor service. We hold these joys with gladness and celebration. May they be magnified because they are shared.
Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí, y al corazón cántale tu compasión. Sopla el volar, sobre la mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arraigame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí. Spirit of life, come to me, sing in my heart of the streams of compassion. Blow in the wind, in the tides, in the sea. Move in the hand, giving light, shape of justice. Roots hold me whole, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? The grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last? And too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
The First Unitarian Church of St. Louis strives to be a welcoming congregation, inspiring lives of loving kindness and integrity by nurturing spirituality, building community, and advancing justice. Your donations contribute to keeping that mission alive during the pandemic. As a way of putting our faith into action, our church periodically dedicates Sunday collections to worthy nonprofits or church programs. In response to the recent humanitarian crises impacting Afghanistan and Haiti, the Social Responsibility Committee elected to add a special designated collection this Sunday. The proceeds from this collection will be split between International Institute of St. Louis and Meds and Food for Kids. We are not passing a physical plate, but text the amount you wish to donate to 833-649-0088. These are uncertain times. Please give as you can.
We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the birds, they tell us. We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the trees, they tell us. We're here to be lifted in love, to listen to love as a flower raises its face to the sun. We are all one, here to be lifted in grace and love. We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the sky, it tells us. We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the trees, they tell us. We're here to be lifted in love, to listen to love as the children raise all their faces to the sun. We are all one, here to be lifted in grace and love. We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the trees, they tell us. We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the seas, they tell us. We're here to be lifted in love, to listen to love as the flower raises its face to the sun. We are all one, here to be lifted in grace and love.
Good morning, everyone. My name is the Reverend Sharon Dittmar, and it really is a joy to be here with you. I am the primary contact for your congregation. You might not know that, but I am here to assist your clergy and your lay leaders when you have questions or need a thought partner or are searching for resources. So I want to thank you, first of all, for your mission and your ministry here in St. Louis. I want to thank you to your gifts to the annual program fund, and I want to thank you for being you. And now I have a sermon that I wrote that it seems to be the most travelable sermon I've ever written in my life. It is called Adaptation to Change. I found the trouble, and the trouble was me. I grew up in a home with untreated alcoholism and untreated major mental illness. Though I did not understand this at the time, it was just a home, and as a child, I assumed my home was average and everyone else's home was just like my home. In response, though, to conditions at my home, I developed some habits, behaviors, and thought patterns. For example, I developed a preference for controlled low-risk environments where I could get to know people and predict patterns like dangerous outbursts and thereby avoid as many of them as possible. I developed the habit of working hard, really hard, and applying myself so as not to arouse interest or ire. I developed the thought and feeling that if I made a mistake, I actually was a mistake, and that perfection needed attained for my own safety and security. I mean, I was not wrong to desire safety and security, but neither was I right. For in truth, perfection is not possible. And I already lacked security and safety. And nothing I did as a child was going to change that. But I did not understand this at the time. It was my home. I assumed it was average, the same as others. And I tried to find whatever control felt possible. As part of my childhood, imprint left me rigid and rule-bound, overly responsible and responsive. These are the ways the Sharon child found to keep the pain I felt at bay. Another thing I attempted to control, the pain of so many feelings from my childhood. This left me in a pitched battle, though, with the natural order of the world, which is eternal change. And I'm so far down the tree of life at this point, I can smile at all these things because I can look back and recognize them in all their different manifestations. It's such a beautiful confounding thing, eternal change. Seasons, transitions. It's hot where I am in Cincinnati, and I bet it's still hot in Missouri, but maybe you step outside now and you smell the leaves, you feel the air, you can tell change, autumn is coming. Humans age, neighborhoods shift, cultures move, they actually do. It is often a wondrous symphony. And sometimes it truly is a tragic and seismic evolution, such as what we've seen with COVID-19, the earthquake in Haiti, wildfires in the West in Nebraska, and the chaotic and heartbreaking military withdrawal in Afghanistan. For someone like me with a preferred for controlled lower risk environments, change is a force or was a force to be feared, a way of life to be ignored and denied. That's certainly what I tried as a young adult. I put myself at odds with change. And in doing so, I found myself at odds with life itself. That posture also kept the truth of my pain at bay, though, so it was in its own way protective for a time. It's probably one of the reasons I unconsciously chose it. But the posture became over time my homegrown sickness, my no to the yes of life, and all that that brings. Closing myself to pain at all times and change also closed me to joy and renewal. My battle with change, nature, and life has been unraveling for decades, and this is a good thing. Many of my childhood coping strategies are just not particularly useful in adulthood, although, at times any and all of us might employ them, and they could be quite necessary. Perhaps some of you have learned all these things too. I can't be the only person with these sorts of experiences and revelations. COVID-19 intensified my learning curve once again, as you can imagine, as did all its variants, right? Just the moment I thought, aha, I now know what will happen. Certainty was snatched back. This unleashed the need for a whole new level of adaptation on my part, a whole new acceptance of the normalcy of change and upheaval. And along with it, a simultaneous admission of past and present pain and the wall I had created around myself. That long-pitched battle I waged with nature, that impossible no to change and life and pain, well, that also meant I was never free to live in the evolving present, which can also be sweet and offer comforts, though also it can be terrifying. Here's the good news, though. If the trouble is me, and it is, I'm in luck because the only thing I can control, the only thing I can change is me. I've been telling my son that for years, and I find it's still a story I need to repeat to myself. I can change my narrative and understanding about my childhood, as well as my behaviors. I can choose to open myself to the wave of the present, the good and the bad, the all of it. I can choose to release past pain, so I can let go of old stories that do not help me. I can craft a different narrative from those old stories. I can accept the risk of loss, always present, and discover when there is a beautiful now. They often coexist simultaneously. Sometimes there is a terrible now, and I can hold that too, right? I can choose, like your minister has done, to take care of myself and to ask for help. Sometimes it's really hard to know when to hold on and when to let go. Life is constantly changing. And if we refuse to accept this change, to move with the flow of life, whether the truth hurts or heals, life will eat us, or we will eat others, consume them alive. As happened when Indigenous people were forced off their lands here, as happened during slavery here, and as it happened on January 6th. This is America, and it always has been, and this is not the end. There is a gift to being able to hold pain, and that is the fuller truth. And herein is another opportunity, because the full truth provides clearer choices, more incentive to change. COVID-19 and my desire to stay home as often as possible for the safety of all has given me more time to practice change even. I doubled down on my guided meditation and began to journal, which are both forms of self-care. And then at some point last year, I began a meditation pack through the application Headspace entitled Navigating Change. And you might use Headspace, but there's other ones like Calm. There's many out there. I just particularly liked Navigating Change. In the midst of the meditation we're going to do, or in the midst of meditation within the application, I had some revelations, which I'd like to share with you after we take part in a brief guided meditation. So if you join me now in this brief meditation, and full disclosure, if you meditate a lot, this will be aggravatingly short. If you don't meditate at all, this will be excruciatingly long. So hopefully we meet a little bit in the middle. This will be about 3 minutes. What it helps to do is to sit upright. We all tend to slump over, to like make sure your neck's up and your head's tilted a little down. I like to inhale and exhale to kind of settle myself in, feet on the ground. You can also do this laying down though, if you can't stand or you can't sit. Laying down is fine. I like to cross my hands like this. Goodness, that's close, like this. But you could just lay them also on your thighs if you wish. I put the tip of my tongue on the roof of my mouth, and that prepares me nicely. And then what we're going to do is inhale through our nose and exhale through our mouth. That's all we're going to do. And when you have thoughts, which you will, and they'll be irritating, they'll be like, oh, I forgot blueberries on my grocery list. You just say thinking, and you just like kind of touch it and you let it go. You don't ponder it too long. You don't, berate yourself. You're just like, oh, I'm thinking. And then you go back to breathing. Breathe in, breathe out. All right. Join me in just a few minutes of guided meditation. I also like to take my glasses off and shut my eyes. You can leave yours open. And as you breathe, let the air fill up your abdomen, go past your chest to fill your abdomen. And exhale. You might notice you're holding stiffness somewhere. So as you inhale, note it. Exhale, release it. If you have a distracted thought, just note it and let it drift away and breathe in and out. As we slowly come back to the present, you can listen to the sounds around you. Feel your feet or your body on the floor. Wiggle a bit. Open your eyes. I put my glasses back on. I like to say a prayer of thanks for this time. And then we're done. I ask you now to silently reflect on how the meditation we did just impacted you. Now, I know some of you are like, oh, it was the most annoying thing I did. But for those of you it was not, or who chose to participate, think to yourself how you felt before and after the activity. And think about how you were thinking before and after the activity. What, if anything, changed for you? What might happen to you if you practiced this very same meditation for 10 consecutive days and then stretched it out for 10 minutes at a time instead of the mere 3 we did? If you're like me, you might have had what we call a BFO, a blinding flash of the obvious. In the course of navigating change, the meditation pack I did, we used this simple awareness technique throughout the day, noting when we stood up and sat down. Actually, it was suggested that we note every time we stood up and sat down, and then we were told it was going to be harder than we thought. And if you are currently able-bodied like me, it is deceptively hard to notice when you stand up or sit down. I will say, though, that for the 3 years when I was not able-bodied, it was excruciating every time I stood up and sat down. It was quite obvious to me and very difficult. So it often depends, this exercise, on where you are. And if you want to try this at home and standing and sitting are not possible for you or easy, try just tilting and straightening your head. It's the same thing, really, but notice when you do it. Or lifting and then lowering your arm. In those small motions, there's actually change. They're so small, but there's change in them, right? There's a beginning. Oh, my arm's going up, my arm's coming down. And there's an ending, your arm is down. There was a moment when that limb began to raise, and then when it came back down and was done. Something I learned during this exercise is that everything I think and feel also has a beginning and everything ending. And that means everything. If you've done meditation, they often tell you, if you get an itch, don't scratch. That sounds impossible. But I have to say 3/4 of the time that itch just goes away. It had a beginning and then it ended, and I didn't even know why. Though, let me be honest, sometimes I have to scratch because it still itches. But what I've learned through doing all this is that I might be mad, for example, but I'm not mad all the time. And I'm not mad in the same intensity. And someday, the thing that actually filled me with fury, well, it might not make me mad at all. And that might be years or decades, but it's happened. Change. The sadness I feel today at the state of the world, which I do feel, will not always be the same. There are some good days too in the world. There's a beginning, and there's an end. Some endings we may not see in our lifetime either, right? I won't see the end of racism or violence, misogyny, transphobia. It doesn't mean that they could not yet come, if many of us choose to find ways to interrupt them in the present, which would mean we'd have to be living in the now. I hope you understand where I'm getting with this, that nothing is certain, nothing is fixed, and everything changes, whether that's democracy, leadership, work, personal story, prejudice, thoughts, family, health, friends, feelings, life, nature, our climate. Everything changes. September arrives and some clergy, such as your own, take a bit of a break. It's the nature of things. And figuring out when to hold on and how and when to let go and how is just as essential as understanding everything always changes all the time and when to embrace change without even knowing where it leads. I still remember the day my son toddled out of our bathroom. You know, he crawled in on all fours and then he toddled out on 2 feet. I was amazed and aghast at these implications. And then last month, he drove off for his 2nd year of college. I mean, my baby is now a man. Change. And I could pull him back, call him home. I could hover over him at college. I could say it's too dangerous out there, and it is dangerous out there. Or I can just let him fly, giving him the best knowledge I had in coaching and let him go into the risky beyond and uncertainty past my control or my illusion of control, past knowledge into what is his choice, which is exactly what I'll be doing. And some days it's harder than others. Change. If everything has a beginning and an ending, everything I value is more precious. If health changes, what will I do to support my health and the health of those in my network? If my family is precious to me, and they are, and they will not always be with me, and I will not always be with them, what will we do in our time together? What will I create for us to do in our time together? By invitation, of course. This is not like a demand. By invitation. If everything changes, and I know that racism is an American cancer, what do I need to learn and do myself to make it change? If the climate is changing at a cataclysmic rate, which it is, what will I do with what partners to make a positive difference while supporting all of us in the work? Because I personally don't believe we're called to punish ourselves in the work, but support one another along the way. This changing is not one and done. It is a constant asking, a daily, an hourly asking, holding the questions and uncertainty until new understandings fall in. The poet Mary Oliver asks, tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? There is this space between us, between you and I, us and all things, after control, where I, where you, where we rest in uncertainty. And in that uncertainty is a glowing awareness that change is eternal and so much new choice, potential, and understanding is possible within there. Yes, there is loss. There is pain, and sometimes more than anyone can endure. And there can also be hope and transformation. I will wait for you to join me there. Amen. Please join me now by invitation as you're comfortable in our closing hymn, number 128, For All That Is Our Life.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use, to build a common good, and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each true thing we learn, for fearful hours and past, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use, to build the common good, and make our own days glad.
For our closing words, when I used to do these in the congregation I served, we would all rise as we were able and hold hands. I invite you to pretend you're holding the hand of someone in your congregation who is special to you. Go out into the world in peace and have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. And honor all persons. Amen.